Are you guys familiar with our wedge shafts at all? Well, I wanted to discuss the technology first. This is the first offering was the Zone. The first iterations look like those. You may have seen them. And we have the new product today. We've got the 2.0 called the Red Zone. Differences in how we went about building them so that we didn't have any issues in terms of assembly. Now we're making it out of carbon fiber, the tip, so we can control that 100%. To know that whatever's going out there is gonna be of the highest quality. And so, okay, these are the butt sizes are a little larger. You can see them expand in the tip sizes are just 355 taper. Butt size is a little larger. That's to control the flex in the upper part of the shaft. So to give you the quick explanation of why we went with the design we did for the Zone wedge shafts, we created a very high modulus, very, very stiff and low torque upper section to control the forces in the upper part of the shaft. So you can imagine basically the modulus or the stiffness is carried down to where it connects to here. This is an extremely stiff portion of the shaft. It's called a stiffness stack. We've got a tip inside of a connector inside of a sheath of graphite. And this graphite has more graphite in it than our Brava shaft, driver shaft, just this part. It's really, it's very, very stiff. So this portion of the club is returned to where the player wants it to go, and then this has been engineered to react and create the ball spin and launch rates that we were looking for. So essentially what this does is it reduces the miss hits on the center of the club, creates more centered strikes, and in this case you get a bump in spin per degree of loft. So you'll see that this is a good choice for people that want to stop the ball on the green. Launch angle slightly lower. We'll show you in a minute here, but so the torque 2.3 in the 90, 1.6 in the 115, and 1.5 in the 130 gram. This portion of the shaft is the same in the 115 and the 130, and the difference is in the weight. Okay, so somebody that has a little higher speed or wants to feel the weight of the club, we made a 130 gram shaft and a 115 gram shaft. Obviously, you know the weights of the typical, like an S300 or the weights are listed on whatever it is, Nippon 105. The Nippon 105 sort of we stack up against the Nippon 1 lightweight product in the 90, and I'll show you some performance statistics on that, numbers on that. And then we've seen a lot of people that appreciate the slightly lighter 115 gram wedge shaft. Some people have more control with a slightly lighter shaft. They're not fighting the club. Wedge heads are already heavy. So for people with that mid-range person you're talking about in terms of head speed, the 115 is a great selection for them because it'll give them control, spin, and it won't feel like it's swinging them around. So, yeah, this one has a steel connector in the 130. The 115 also has a steel connector to raise the overall weight, and the balance point should stack up against True Temper S3 or other products, similar products. The kick point is well, it's below here. Yeah, it's down here, so that's part of the reason it works. But these were engineered. It took quite a long time to engineer this part and create the right profile to perform in terms of the window within which a player wants to hit the golf ball. So you can imagine if you just put a piece of graphite, like the end of a piece of a driver shaft in there, it would go all over the place. It would probably kick way up in the air, and it would spin a lot, but it wouldn't be any use. So basically the forces are controlled in the upper part of the shaft. This portion of the shaft is delivered more accurately, thereby giving you more accurate strikes in the center of the face. That's your story, and then you've got 3 weights. Not necessarily, it's not the same as a typical profile, and we'll show you. So average steel wedge shaft in red there, basically just sort of gradually stepping up as the diameter increases. That's typical of steel because it's isotropic, right? It stretches the same amount in all directions. So the only way to control is changing the thickness in the wall or the diameter or both, right? So you'll notice in the center there, that's where this connector's, the stiffness really ramps up just at the top of this, right where this connects. So you can see this is super low torque up here too, so it controls the torsion as well. And basically, it's a profile of what the stiffness looks like. You can see how very stiff it is in the butt section. Even in the 90-gram shaft, you can see we really raised the stiffness. And so we see, this was with player testing again, and you can see the dispersion difference. In all cases, with all weights, we saw reduction in the dispersion. So landing area, both front, back, and right, left. And that's significant. If you think about reducing anything by 16 to 20%, that's a big deal. And my personal experience was the same. I was able to hit it a lot straighter and take more of a direct line at the flag. I used to rely on sort of sliding it to the right, and I just hit it straight at it now. And I don't even play golf that much anymore, but I hit it. I can make a lot of birdies with these things. It does control, this portion does control the overall deflection of the shaft, yes. Now it basically gives you a better chance to get it out of the middle of the club. So that's really what it's about. And so the force is directed more accurately because there's nothing going on up here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's the same general philosophy as this, only this has more length and speed and snaps harder at the bottom, and that was engineered to. So we're taking advantage of our knowledge in terms of how to adjust the stiffness in the upper part of the shaft, and then engineering something that works synergistically with that to give you whatever performance characteristics you're looking for. That's the short answer. Yeah, taper, 355 taper.
Okay, so they're all tapered.
Yeah, yeah. There is a decent, a fairly generous section to get some thin, like weights in the tip. If you have trouble, you guys have those, I assume, for both woods and maybe graphite irons. Those should fit fairly easily in there when you're building. And then if you look at the presentations is nice. I'll pass these around. Well, all I can say is welcome. This basically goes over your points of difference. So we got a very high stiffness upper portion, calibrated tip for creating the spin and launch we're looking for. In the 90-gram shaft, the connector's made of aluminum to reduce the overall weight and still connect the lower part to the upper part. We basically increased the stiffness in the middle of the club again using different materials. So in the 115 and the 130, we went with a carbon steel. That's coated with a ceramic, hard ceramic Cerakote that we do in-house, and it's pretty elegant looking product. But you can't really see that carbon fiber reflection if you're looking at it from a player's perspective. So we tried to make it, black it out to make it as unobtrusive as possible. And so your butt diameters are a little fatter, so I don't know if you need to stretch your grips or whatever, but they are slightly larger for people that like thin grips. You just have to be aware of that. They're not hugely fatter, but part of the reason why they work is because they've got a larger diameter, right? Any questions about this product? I would encourage you to try it, even if you want to hit these today. Give them a shot and just get a feel for it. You might think that they'll feel radically different because of the look, but I don't know. It's up to you. It'll be your decision, but personally, I love the way these came out, and I like the way they feel. They're very, they feel really stable and really easy to use. The real cool stat here is the spin to launch, 300 RPM per degree. So, you know, it's compared to you know, quality steel shaft, you're looking at, in this case, you know, just over 300 miles an hour or 300 RPM of spin. I think there are a significant number of your customers are probably can't spin it on a short shot ever, but they want to be able to, you know, stop it on a half shot or a 3/4 shot. So a little bump in spin per degree of launch. So that sort of low spinny flight is what it creates, which a lot of people equate to skill and or you know, being a better player. So personally, I've been in the golf business for 23 years. This is the most significant improvement in performance that I've ever been a part of, and I've developed a lot of different products over the years. I've seen so many products, and this really does work. It goes where you're looking. Yeah, the only disadvantage we're at is that the USGA has limited the distance between the top of the hosel and this first feature. It turns out it still works, but the answer would be, you know, it would be nice to be able to trim these. You cannot tip trim these, otherwise they become USGA non-conforming. For somebody that's making a living, you can get them in a lot of trouble if you tip trim this, because although there's never been a test. We've had these in some events, some senior tour events. KJ Choi has used them, and a couple other people are starting to use them or trying them. But yeah, you can't trim them. The distance between here and here had to be limited in order to control possible aerodynamic advantages. So yeah, so we had several conversations on the phone, and we've been a bit of a thorn in their side for a long time. When we came out with the original putter shafts, they were like, what's going on with this? And these guys are making radically different looking stuff, and where are they going? Where could this go? And I think they even had a meeting in the RNA when we first made our putter shaft. So I know they keep an eye on what we're doing, but well, you know, that's the answer to your question.